Welcome to episode 47 of Ring Talk, the weekly Goodwin boxing show. Happy New Year to everyone out there. Hope you've had a lovely time over Christmas and enjoyed the festivities. Steve, you've been under the weather?
Yeah, struggling a bit. Flu's getting older, you see. I'm catching more of them. I had the flu jab, right? And I've never had more flus, colds and viruses inside the flu jab.
Really? Well, it gives you a bit of the flu, doesn't it? And then that's meant to help you fight the antibodies.
Well, what he's done is given me the flu.
But it's fucked
me up. I've never been so rough with colds. And
yeah. Was that just before Christmas then? Or?
November. And that's it. And they said, you've got to have it because I said, I don't really like all this stuff. They said, you've got to have it because I've got a heart thing, right? So I said, if you don't, and you could get pneumonia and it's going to stop, it's going to make you healthier. Jesus Christ.
Think long term.
Long term, yeah, right, okay.
So you've been busy over Christmas, New Year. You don't kind of let the phone die off.
No, we've been busy making. I spent a lot of the time making fights for the new year and speaking to fighters about plans. Because it's a good time when it's not so hectic. You can spend some time talking to people. I've had a couple of boxes up yesterday to the office. So really, it's been meeting a lot of people in the break and putting some plans together.
So it's all building towards March.
Towards March and beyond, really. A couple of things for April and May working on, and it's been quite busy negotiating Wadi Camacho thing up until Christmas, or trying to.
Yeah, let's touch on that quickly because we haven't really got an agenda of things particularly, but we'll touch on Wadi. I know there's been some back and forth between Isaac Chamberlain and Wadi, and Lawrence Okoye and Wadi.
The thing is, for me, things that you negotiate, I'm happy to keep behind closed doors, and I think.
You never talk numbers on here, do you?
No, because I think it's very important that when you are negotiating on behalf of a fighter, it's done respectfully. Unfortunately, in this instance, these boxers are out there having a pop at Wadi without remotely knowing what really happened.
Yeah.
So, from my point of view, when my fighter's getting attacked on social media, I mean, the quote from Isaac Chamberlain was, "Wadi, the contract's out. Why won't you sign it? You've been offered." And I thought to myself, hold on a minute, you're making Wadi look like a dickhead when that is not the case. Yeah. So I'll clarify the Isaac Chamberlain situation but I wouldn't have clarified it. There was no need for me to discuss it if it wasn't brought out by the people. So we'd been talking about these fights, Okoye and Chamberlain and everything else. And I had a tentative offer.
So by tentative, is that someone rings you up?
Are you no text? No text. Right. Are you interested in this fight for this amount of money?
Yeah.
Now, the way that I negotiate with people is really simple. I the same way both ways. You know, when you have this bargain, I'll offer you 10, I want 12, you're going to offer 20, we're going to settle in the middle. I haven't got the time or the inclination for any bullshit, right?
So you give a figure?
I give a figure, right? So I say to somebody, I'll give you this. And if they say, no, I want more, bye, move on. Yeah. I'm not negotiating. I'm telling you what something's worth. I'm not going to underpay you. I want to pay you what something's worth.
Yeah.
Now, I always ask people that I deal with to do the same with me. Don't start messing around with numbers. Give me a number.
Don't try and lowball on the offer.
Lowball and eyeball. Blah, blah, blah. We'll just do a number that I know what I want. So, the actual number that they mentioned to me was the number that I felt it was worth.
Right.
So, I said yes. We'll do it, no problem.
Yeah.
We're going to do this now because we come to this number and we'll do this now.
And this was for Isaac?
For Isaac, yeah. I said, we've got to do it by Christmas Eve, the deal, because I'm scheduled to go to. I was scheduled to go to Dallas to watch Richard Comey, and Wadi was going to have a little break in January.
Yeah.
So we said, if it's not done by the 24th of December, then I'm going to Dallas on holiday and to America for 2 weeks, so I'm out of the country. Wadi's going to have a break, so we won't do it. But if we sign up by Christmas, we'll sign the fight now. Chase, and then I got another text saying, Eddie has decided to drop the offer by 30%.
Just arbitrarily 30%?
Yeah, basically, Eddie wasn't made off. They said, would you be interested in the fight for this? It wasn't Eddie that said, it was his own man. Would you be interested in the fight for that? Yes, we'll sign it, we'll do this. But then the offer then come back 30% less. Well, I was happy to, I've just agreed the first figure.
Yeah.
So you now come to say, well, I've agreed a figure, now you want to lowball me? No.
So at that point, you just move on,
and then that was the 24th of December, and that was done. So that was the end of it. And it wasn't a case of, so we were ready to sign the fight.
At the initial value.
At the initial value, which I thought was a fair price. So obviously, they've had second thoughts, and they're entitled to do that if they want to change the offer, they're downwards, that's it. But then we were entitled to say no. So, but I don't then expect their fighter to go on social media as having a pop at Wadi, when we sat and agreed to fight. We subsequently, which is also on social media, which we subsequently on the 27th of December received, which was 3 days after the closure date of doing a deal, received an offer for a Coley. A Coley has put that offer out on social media, so have a look at that if you like. That just wasn't enough. That's just not enough money for that fight. I know what the fights are worth.
Which would be a British and Commonwealth title.
Which is a British and Commonwealth unification fight. Obviously, I do know, as you know, I do my research on every single person that's paid, right? I know what people get paid.
Yeah.
Somehow or other I get paid. I don't announce it, but I find out.
And also it helped, I guess, because you, not necessarily involved, but you had a hand in the Matty Askin.
Well, we put a first bid of over £100,000 in.
Oh yeah.
So I know what Matty Askin got, right? So and we were going to stage that, so it was we had a backer to do it. So that was fine. That was a commercial decision we made. So I know what I believe fights are worth.
Yeah.
Eddie apparently thinks I'm delusional, but that's his opinion. My opinion is I'm not delusional. But from, I presume you know. So, but from my point of view, the money offered for a Coley has to be more money than the money for Isaac Chamberlain.
Yes.
Do you agree? So that's the point. It's a different fight. One's a Commonwealth defence, and one is a British and Commonwealth unification against.
And also, one's a more dangerous fight, and
the other one.
Like, that's not disrespecting Isaac, but look, Lawrence has beaten Isaac. Lawrence is unbeaten, and he's a massive threat of a man. You know, he's.
And Isaac, with all due respect to him, only just beat Luke Watkins. So there's a different value to the fight. So I can't discuss the numbers, but. It
didn't add up.
It didn't add up. So the Lawrence fight is just not enough. It's just not enough money. Now again, if the offer had been, I mean, look, we're not talking that we're being. I know what we're asking for is reasonable. We would have done the Lawrence fight.
Yeah.
We just want the right money for the right fight, but we're not going to be lowballed.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, we were being lowballed.
Yeah.
So we say no. So we discussed it with Wadi. We set aside the money that was wanted. I know the money that he may have wanted, and I felt was reasonable might be different. But I knew where we were sitting. But these figures, weren't correct. And I think that when you are a powerful promoter, you often get fighters that will take fights because they're.
There will be some people out there that would take fights because they want their cut of the amount.
And I've got to say, nothing's fair, but I'm not. By the way, I'll say this: for 1 second, I am not having a pop at Matchroom because I had Frank Boglione with them. He was very well paid, very well looked after, and they look after. I believe they look after their fighters. What you must remember, the difference here is. I'm now sitting on the other side of the fence negotiating with somebody who's not their fighter.
Yeah.
So it's different with them. They're looking after their fighter, but they're trying to screw the fighters that are not there for the lowest possible money.
Yeah, which is their job at the end of the day.
And Wadi's history, when he wasn't with me, was taking rubbish money.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's their job. They've got a business to run. They want to get fights.
I have no problem with that, but I don't think they should allow their fighters to go out there slating off.
Yeah.
Where this is wrong is the two fighters. I sent a message to Lawrence as well. So Lawrence is a nice guy. But I sent him saying, look, Lawrence, this is not the score. This is not the thing. You had the 24th. They ran over the time. We're still negotiating Isaac Chamberlain on the 24th. So there's no, and I understand they've got a business to run, but if they don't pay the money that we want, we're not going to fight them.
Yes.
But then I don't want their fighters to go off attacking my fight on social media, making it look as if he's running when it's totally the opposite.
Yeah. So Waddy's a man in demand, then I guess. We've had
an offer as well this week.
Yeah.
I turned that down as well for somewhere else. There's plenty of offers coming in, and from my point of view, We will. You got to remember, he's not only won the Commonwealth, he's won a British Eliminator. Okolie says, right now, Waddy's not fighting, I'm vacating the British. Great.
So Waddy's still
great. We might be alive for that. We're in no need to be up to, in my opinion, to take less money than a fighter's worth at this stage. There may be points in fighters' careers when they have no choice but to accept lower money than a fighter's worth. Yeah. But where Wadi Camacho is today, we don't need to be underpaid. It's like everybody out there you can slate off a boxer or slate me off for not taking a thing. But if you've got a job, you go to work every day and you're on 30 grand a year or £600 a week, and somebody wants you to go to work next week for £400 a week, you're probably going to tell them to get lost. So but you wouldn't slate them off. You're just going to say, well, no, I'm not going to do that week's work because you don't want to pay me the right money. So you want to get paid for your job. You're not going to take a pay cut to leave from one job to the other. And it's no different with a boxer.
Yeah. And when he's comfortable with all this, he's happy to. So what would happen if none of the bigger, I'm using bigger in a rounder sense, but like those kind of TV fights don't come off? Is he happy to defend it York Hall and?
Well, perhaps, and also we've got offers from abroad coming in as well.
Okay.
So it's not just when your offers coming in. We've had an offer from Germany, we've had an interest from Australia and Canada.
Right.
So at the moment he's only won this title 6 weeks ago. We've had Christmas and the New Year. There's no need to panic and take the wrong money. Yeah. The wrong fight for the wrong money. Yeah. Those fights will still be there in a month's time, in 6 weeks' time.
Yeah. All right, let's move on from Waddy then.
Yeah.
March, new fights announced.
We get 2 new fights announced this week. The first one was Couzens against Daniel Mendes for the Southern Area Cruiserweight title. Yeah. Deion Jumah has now moved on to English level. There's a purse bid due with Crispin Smith this week.
Still no word from Cyclone about that, so I assume that goes ahead?
Purse bid's gone in, let's see what happens.
When's that due?
What's today? It's Wednesday, isn't it? No, it's Tuesday today.
Tuesday.
Tomorrow.
Right.
Tomorrow. So purse bids will go in. Had no offer from Cyclone, so they're either not bidding or just going to put a bid in. That's fine. They can whatever the situation is. But we want the fight, so or they may withdraw him at 5 to 12 tomorrow, which is fairly normal. Or withdraw him after the bid's gone in.
That's even worse.
Yeah. So let's just not do that, because otherwise next week I'll be able to go out there because this is what pet hate, right? Yeah. If you don't want the fight, just withdraw. Let everybody move on. Yeah. Because let me explain about that. If they've withdrawn, if they don't want the fight and they withdrawn last month, it would have given us the chance of putting somebody else in by tomorrow.
Yep.
So if a boxer goes through the process tomorrow, then it stalls the boxer's career by a month.
Yep.
And worse than a month, because then we won't be able to stage it in March, which means Dillon might not be able to fight till May or June. That's what it does to box career. I hope they're not going to do that.
Yeah, so all being well, they put in a bid, you put in a bid, someone wins it, both boxers get paid, decent fight.
There we go.
Perfect.
So that's Deion. So that's all Danny Couzens. And the other one is we won a purse bid last week for Sean Robinson to fight Joshua Ejakpovi for the Southern Area Super welterweight title.
Yeah, light middleweight,
whatever. That's going to take place on the 9th of March at York Hall on my show. So we won the bid for that. So yes, that's a good fight. It's a hard. I tell you what, that's a
tough fight.
It's a tough fight for Sean. It is, because I've got a lot of respect for Joshua. I think he's a really good kid. Awkward, southpaw, rangy. It's just horrific to box. But that's who we've got to box. Sean wants to step up, so we take the fight.
Excellent. So that leads in March. Then you're looking at K Prosper, Samo Mason.
That's on the 16th, and the Jordan Jones Duane Sinclair Fight Cup final on the 16th.
You're looking at Dave Birmingham,
Dillon on the 9th with Daniel Mendes, Danny Couzens, and Sean Robinson, Joshua Ejakpovi. Yeah. On the 2nd, we've got Linus Udofia, Deion Jones. We potentially got the Deion Jumah fight as well.
It's a great month.
And there's potentially another 10 rounds to go on as well.
I want to stag do some point in March. I need to check the date.
So now, are these not some good? They're good. They're good top of the bills. These aren't they? Small.
They are. They're good. Good cards. And that's packed out March. You got something else possibly going on for March?
We've also got. We're also running a show on the 23rd of March.
Yeah.
More to come out about that. It's a bit unique. And there's a possibility of us running a show in the first week of March in the midweek as well. More to come out about that. So there are potentially 5 shows we'll be involved in March.
In 4 weeks.
3 weeks if you put it together, from the 2nd until the 23rd, 21 days. 5 shows in 21 days.
Right, good luck. But yeah, those cards are good. Which fight out of all of those stands out? If you assume Billum Smith versus Deion Jumah isn't in for now.
Well, I think the one that stands out, if it happens, is Linus Jones.
Yeah.
I still think it stands out. I'm just hoping he boxes. I saw a picture of him over Christmas on the internet. He looked quite big.
I think I know the photo you're on about.
Yeah. He looked huge.
Yeah. But I'm not going to make judgment because
he looked big. He looked big. When you look at Linus where he is, and he's 8 weeks away from a fight. Tay looked big, but he probably can lose the weight, so good luck to him. I just don't want this to end up happening to Linus again.
What do you make of Linus at the O2 when he fought on White Chisora?
I thought he was a little bit flat after the 8th round, the 3 weeks before. I think that wasn't Linus at his best. I think he was effective. He looked good in spurts, but that wasn't Linus at his best. Yeah,
I don't like to criticise Linus because he's a good mate, and it's not a criticism. It is just the fact that it was a shame because it's such a good opportunity to show what Linus is about. And I don't think that was the best version of Linus that could have been showcased.
But he knows that. He was effective, but it wasn't. He wouldn't have given the wow factor that night.
But he was still good. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, he was still better than a lot of talent that you see elsewhere.
For sure. And the bottom line, but yeah, look, he still performed. He had the opportunity on the stage. But I said to Linus, this is really important, and I believe this. He's now been at the O2. He's gone through the O2 process. Now, when he goes back to the O2 again, I'm sure he will, in a bigger fight, he's done that walk, the ring walk, he's done the whole thing. And that is like doing a dress rehearsal. And I think it's far better than if it's the first time you go in a big fight and you haven't done the whole experience of a big arena. So he's now done the TV with Haymaker. Yeah. Now he's done the O2. So I think he's getting the perfect development.
Yeah, that's a great fight. I can't wait for it. All being well when it comes.
I think, like I said to him before, I think Deion Jones is a great fighter, and I think it's a really, really good fight. Yeah. But unfortunately, this week I had the same person ring me who rang me before the last fight, saying he's not turning up.
Well, fingers crossed they're wrong. Like, that's all.
But they were right last time.
Yeah.
And I hope they're wrong this time, but they've said to me, get a substitute in place.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking, no, not again.
Yeah. That's not fair. Let's just hope Deion Jones goes through it. He's in shape, he's fit, he's ready.
Doesn't get injured.
And they have a fight.
Yeah, that's all we want.
Yeah.
And if you're not, pull out quickly so that we can get somebody else, let somebody's career move on. Yeah. I mean, Lee Eaton's is adamant he's going to turn up, so I believe Lee, and until I hear any otherwise from Lee, as I said to the person who rang me, I know you were right last time, but Lee also knows how bad it would be to tap him again twice. Yeah. And Lee's a good guy, so until I hear anything negative from Lee, the fight's on.
Yeah, lovely. So yeah, that's all of March covered. Then you've got shows in May and June. July, which will be in plan for now.
Yeah, lots of exciting stuff going on in the background.
I like the look of Sam and Mays on K Prosper as well. We kind of overlooked that almost. It's
yeah, I want to say I think that's a cracking fight. Yeah. But do you not think though those southern areas on the 9th are really good fights? Yeah. Really good fights.
I look forward to Liam Dillon, Dave Birmingham, because I've always been a Dave Birmingham fan. Like, ever since he fought Chris Lay down at York Hall, he was just buzzing around Chris Lay and hitting to the body in ways that you don't normally see Chris Lay hit. And I know that his career has had ups and downs, Dave, since then. But I still think there's a lot to offer out of him. And for Liam Dillon, that's a hard fight.
It's not easy. And I think without a doubt, the Sean Robinson fight's tough. And I think the Daniel Mendes, Danny Cousens is a really good fight between the two of them. It's a really good competitive southern area.
How many attempts is for Danny at the southern area? Is his third or fourth?
I think he's his fourth.
Like, I'd love to see him win it because Danny's such a nice bloke.
Well, he's never won. He won the Fight Cup.
Yeah.
But he's never won a major title.
Yeah. So he's had Wadi in his way an awful lot of that time.
Yeah, well, he's had it twice, hasn't he? So that's a hard ask. And Daniel's like, we've taken him from, he came to us at 2-1 and we've developed him through. And he's 33, I think he is now. So it's an opportunity for him as well. They both got an opportunity. Yeah. It's the right fight for both. Yeah. May the best man win.
Mendes is such an intimidating looking bloke. Like, when you see him in that ring, it's just muscles on muscles on muscles. But he's a very thoughtful man, isn't he? Outside of the ring, he's a very...
He's thoughtful in it as well, isn't he? Apart from the ones he got dropped early. But he just boxes effectively and finds a way. And I'm sure with Danny, he'll be looking to box him and keep out of the way of the big punches and just trying to win it on scoring points and build up a lead. I imagine that's what we're doing. And Danny will be looking to try and land the bombs.
Yeah.
I think. So
which he can.
It's a great fight.
No doubt.
And the K-Poss with Sarah Race is a brilliant fight. If you look at boxing, if ever I look at it, I said to Josh the other day, I sound quite excited again now because you start to look at these cards and think, no, things are starting and careers are developing from within the Goodwin stable. And it's quite exciting times now because when we were doing a lot of the developing, it was a little bit more harder to get motivated, but now we've got people at title level, we're English champions, Commonwealth champion, we've got shows going forward with more fighters fighting for titles. It's getting quite exciting now.
Yeah, and you've got those different projects that you're working on, the slightly unique things that and you naturally go through peaks and troughs of not interest but enthusiasm, I guess.
So we're enthusiastic again.
Right, we're going to hit some questions. I've not printed them out because
any dodgy ones?
I filtered them out, don't worry. We'll start off. Oliver McManus, who questioned whether I'd remember this, so in your face, Oliver. Although he had every right to be fair. He sent it a few days back and I'm great at losing them. Risking Martin forgetting by getting in so early, but what division in British boxing, Goodwin stable aside, do both of you think has the strongest depth in terms of prospects? I think welterweight.
I was going to say welterweight.
Did you see Conor Benn calling out Johnny Garton the other day?
Yeah.
That's not a fight you want, Conor.
Johnny beats him up.
Yeah, I'm not saying Conor isn't... Conor's a good prospect, but... And I know he's sparring world-class fighters in that gym at Tony Sims, but you don't want Johnny Garton now. Johnny Garton will wear you out and beat you up.
I agree. I mean, I think Chris Congo is a phenomenal talent.
Yeah.
Jess Smith's fighting for the southern area. I think it's a really hot division throughout the UK. I think welterweight is... I mean, I've got some welterweights and I'm coming through and you do look at it and think, we'll let them pass. You wait your turn.
Yes. Which, fair enough. Where was the one? I had one where I was told off for not doing it properly. Right, it was the back... Last time we did it, UK Boxing 1 asked about Chisora and being on pay-per-view. He didn't like the way that I asked the question. Fair enough, take that on the chin. So we're going to have another go at it.
Okay.
The whole question didn't get asked. It was... Interestingly, Steve said Chisora in London is now a pay-per-view fighter after the Takam win, as long as it's the right fight. Yeah. How comes he didn't think White versus Chisora is now, and says it should be on a fight night? Steve also went on to mention after the Takam win, AJ is 2 fights away, at least if it were to happen, and talk of Wilder is unrealistic. So let's rule them 2 out. Who else versus Chisora is pay-per-view? Right, I hope I got that right this time.
Okay. The talk about Wilder, what I said was that he is a pay-per-view fighter if the right fight was there.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. Wilder's unrealistic because Wilder's not going to box him. Wilder is not going to box Derek Chisora. Right?
Unless he picked him out as a voluntary.
So what I meant by unrealistic was not unrealistic for Chisora, but unrealistic for Wilder. So there were 2 different sort of answers. So the point what I'm saying is, if it was realistic, it's a pay-per-view fight. But I don't think it was realistic for Wilder to take it. So I do believe that Chisora elevated himself to pay-per-view status against the right fight. If you look at the numbers that were apparently done for the Dillon White fight, and you accept that a pay-per-view fight is based on how many people buy it, then I'll have to put my hand up and say I'm wrong, because it's done. The public believed that it was a pay-per-view fight and bought it.
I haven't seen the numbers for it.
Well, apparently I've been told unofficially, and the numbers are quite good. So the argument here about what's a pay-per-view fight is, I guess,
what are people willing to buy?
What people willing to buy? It's not what I think. So from that point of view, Chisora beating Takam, elevating himself, in my opinion, to a pay-per-view against the right fight. I didn't believe White was the right fight, but the public thought it was. But I do believe that Wilder was the right fight, but I didn't believe it was a realistic fight to make. So I was trying to say that, it's sort of missing. But it's because there's nobody else that I thought. AJ was never going to happen. Wilder was the only pay-per-view number, but I don't even think that. I didn't think Dillon White Chisora was a pay-per-view fight. I still don't think so. It was a good fight. Yeah, it was a good fight, but it's reminiscing to me of some really good British clashes in the past that we've seen,
which have been on free to air or behind a slight paywall of
But the issue you have is if the public, I don't think I'm going to comment about pay-per-views anymore because because the public want to pay.
Yeah.
So if the public want to give their hard-earned money to this, it's pay-per-view.
All right, one more before you retire from pay-per-view. To get with Eubank, what do you make of that? I'm okay with that as a pay-per-view, and not only necessarily because of the fight, but I think that's a fight people are interested in because I think Chris Eubank is a marketing machine. Outside of Joshua, I think he's the most marketable fighter in the UK. But also because there isn't that 45 quid a month Sky fee that you're paying.
No, you're just paying it as a
You're just paying it as a one-off. And I know with Sky you get the football, the cricket, the rugby, well, not the rugby, that's on BT. But those other kind of peripheral. Yeah. Granted, football's not peripheral, but you don't get all of the football. You don't get the Champions League. You don't get all of the Premier League. For 40 quid a month with Sky, the boxing isn't very good unless you pay the additional amount. That's my view of it. But with ITV, you're not paying anything. You're just paying then whatever it's.
I think about paying for these things. For me, a pay-per-view fight is something crazy like Mayweather McGregor, right? Where it's a unique thing where people from crap fight, but people are going to
Lewis Tyson.
Those days. That's pay-per-view, right?
Holyfield
Lewis. Pay-per-view.
Hatton Mayweather. Those days.
Pay-per-view. Now, to me, that's pay-per-view. Pay-per-view is the elite of the elite of the elite, and we are getting a situation where pay-per-view fights are now getting to life. But we see what's happened is, we remember is the pay-per-view models have increased boxers' expectations. If there wasn't pay-per-view, Dillon White would not be earning the money he's earning. But because there is pay-per-view and he's been on one, his anticipation of expectation of money is now much higher. So all of a sudden, boxers now, they go into negotiation and they're asking for pay-per-view money. So that's the problem.
But he's a great model, Dillon White, in terms of if you're.
By the way, it's not a criticism of Dillon White.
No. I mean, if you're an aspiring boxer, Dillon White has never fought for a world title, never held a world title.
Come up from the small halls,
done the graft, and yet has had 2 pay-per-view fights in his last 2 fights.
And full credit to him.
And has made millions, you'd hope, on the back of it.
And hopefully for him, he's made plenty of money for the rest of his life. And so I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying that in my opinion, look, it's always saying that people in footballers get paid ridiculous amounts of money, far too much, right? Far too much for kicking the ball around. It's ridiculous.
But someone's willing to pay it.
And boxing is the same. So far from me to say about pay-per-views anymore, because the point is, it's what people.
It's involved.
If the people at home are going to pay their 20 quids, then at the end of the day, look, be honest, if I knew that 20,000 people were going to pay £20 to watch Linus Udofia Taylor Jones, I'll make a pay-per-view. You would, right? Seriously. Because you would.
Because it'll benefit those lads.
It benefits the promoter. So I get it. But the problem is, I know people aren't going to pay for it, so there's no point doing it.
Yeah.
So you just see what I'm saying, is that if the public are going to pay, it's pay-per-view. It's irrelevant now whether we believe that it's pay-per-view.
I think that's fair. It's involved. William Joyce, what's the worst thing you've seen a promoter or manager do to rip off / do over a boxer? I'm not expecting you to name any.
How long we got?
The worst, the very worst.
Okay, the worst I know is a fighter told me he got. I'm going to change the number slightly so it doesn't.
So nobody's incriminated.
A fighter told me that he got 3,500 for a fight, when I know that the purse was 12 grand.
Ouch. Although you've changed the numbers and the scale's still roughly correct. Shit. So somebody somewhere has taken the best part of 8.5 grand. Ugh, scum.
But that's not unique.
No, I know it's not unique.
It happens at all levels, and So
William Joyce, another one. With James again and Chris Eubank fighting for the IBO World title next month, what are Steve and Martin's views on the IBO title? Me personally, I think it deserves. It's better than the WBA regular, and it's better than the likes of WBU, WBF, IBA.
When you have Reynold Quinlan fighting for an IBO World title, seriously?
Reynold Quinlan put up a great effort against Boazzi.
But he fought for an IBO World title.
Yeah, he fought Eubank for it, didn't he?
Now, I mean, they are they're computer-generated rankings, which is a good thing to a certain extent. But you get some. I think the idea of what they're trying to do, IBO, is correct. But I think you can.
I think the problem is that if you don't. It's difficult, isn't it? Because they don't have the prestige around the belt, so it's difficult to get the names in. But they've had, they've got Joshua, they've had Golovkin,
Klitschko.
Yeah, they had Klitschko, Eubank, and so they're trying to pin these belts.
But nobody bothers about holding on.
In Europe, they do. In Europe, it's over here it's kind of disregarded. But in Europe, they hold it in quite high regard.
I think I think we sometimes. They had to pin an IBO title onto it to try and make it for the selling of the pay-per-view, right? But in reality, it's a fight we're buying rather than the belt. So I don't really feel that. I think the belt sometimes it's like these WBA International, WBC Intercontinental, Intercontinental, charity belts, modern belts. It's getting to the stage where people are just putting belts on something. But a lot of the time, these belts don't mean anything. Whether it be, so. I don't really care about the belt.
Yeah, I mean, I know like the governing bodies where they'd years back got kind of done for the corruption of promoter A pays X amount to the governing body and their fighter ends up going up. So instead you get rid of that and now you have continental titles, and if you win a continental title you get put into those.
And what does that mean? You're bribing them because you're giving money for sanctioning fees instead. It's still in effect, right? The same thing.
It's a workaround.
It's a workaround. Rather than giving them a drop of money, you pay the sanction, giving them a bit of fee. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing, but you can do it with a glossy belt.
But the IBO is not like that, so they are a credible. So I hope that the IBO does become a much bigger organisation and gets more credibility, because the way they do it is much more fair, honest and transparent.
Is it just they use the box rec rankings?
No, they've got their own rankings.
Okay.
They produce their own computerised rankings every month, and you have to be in a certain number to fight for the international title, a certain number to fight for this title, and if you're not in there, you can't get in. You can't get manufactured in by phone call.
Yeah, which is all well and good until you remember Reynolds Quinlan held their super middleweight version, so...
because he in their rankings, the thing about computerised rankings is very simple. If you work out what the computerised ranking needs,
yes, yeah, but then human ones are flawed as well, because Trevor Bryant is number 1 in the WBA as heavyweight. So the guy is absolute garbage.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is they're not 100% right all the time, but Quinlan should never be fighting for world title, should he?
Chris Glover, how you doing, Chris? Out in New York. Question for Ring Talk. In what round does Richard Comey become world champion in Texas next month? He's saying 6.
No, I don't do round predictions. I just hope he wins. I think it's very. I think that's. For me, he's fighting a Russian who's, I think, 13-1. He's quite tough. It's his best opportunity to win a world title. Richard, and obviously I'm going, so I'm supporting him.
Yeah.
And I don't really care what round it is. I just want him to win, so I wouldn't be predicting a round.
I know Chris had asked, will he become a 2-weight world champion? But let's let him get to 1 first. Question from Riku. With MTK having so many big-name London fighters, what does this mean for other London-based small hall promoters? E.g., do you have to put on better matchups to compete?
Right. Because you've got better named London fighters, it doesn't mean that those better names are in better fights or whatever. So they're doing a good job. For me, I'll ask the question back. At this stage, how many English or Southern Area champions do MTK have?
Yeah.
Do you know the answer? 1.
Which is? I can't remember. Oh, they signed the one who beat Sierra School the other day, didn't they?
Makisaki?
Yeah.
2. So, look, they're doing a good job. So, I don't actually see, we're all doing things in different directions. I don't feel we have any need to compete. I think we just covered our March cards. I think we're doing a great job. The MTK are going to have some good development. At the moment, having the bigger names doesn't actually bring you titles.
Yeah.
So, to me, the way you put on good shows is titles. They do a lot of the these international belt things. And they're putting good fights. I mean, look, they've got the finances to do it, and they're doing a great job.
Yeah.
But at the moment, they've got 2 champions, and I'm sure they'll sign a few more. But at the end of the day, I don't feel we've got to compete with them. I think they've got to compete with us, and we just compete together. There's no competition. Do you know what I'm saying?
And they do put on good fights, and it's interesting that they go down those international routes, because it's almost like they're almost leaving that playing field and
what they're doing is I get what they're doing is very simple. Is that if they use the international routes, it propels those fighters to a ranking, and then therefore they can throw them in the bigger the fights in the 50-50 fights. I prefer, so in other words, that's their model, and now then put the two of them together. But my model is different. I want my fighters to develop the generic route, and then get really good money and develop through a TV platform and develop their careers. That's what I'm trying to do. It's a different type of strategy that we have. And yes, some of them will fight each other on the way. But if you take Linus Udofia, all things being well, he's just been developed in the correct manner. He's got David A behind him as well, and he's just going to develop his way through, and then eventually we'll get him, if he keeps winning, we'll get him a TV platform. He'll be developed in his own right. What MTK are doing a brilliant fight, so putting them together for these WBO fights. That produces some really good shows, which is fantastic. They're doing some English titles and some Southern area titles, but I don't feel that we are behind them in any stretch of imagination, because they manage bigger names, but you know, I don't really see that that's directly correlated. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I think they do their own thing and you do your own thing. I think anything you say could be taken as criticism, which it isn't. And I know that it isn't. I
don't want to be critical, because I think Liam does a brilliant job. But what I'm saying is, we concentrate on Southern area and English.
Yeah.
And whatever we got. 3 English champions, 1 Southern area champion. Probably we got more coming, and we've got a Commonwealth champion, and then we've got obviously Nicola Adams, who's got a world interim title. But we're developing our fighters through those Southern area English. Yeah. That's our route. That's what I believe has the longevity to develop them into big names. Whereas they've got a different philosophy. Yeah. But we believe we're delivering really good shows for the public, just the same as they are. But I don't feel that. The question is, we're behind and need to compete with them, and I don't think Leon would feel the same either.
Yeah. You said before about March, you kind of get a lot of general ticket sales. Have you found that again this year?
Yeah.
Just people that before the cards are even announced.
We've sold. We have. I'll tell you the numbers off camera, but no, it's we've sold. We are ahead on the March show. The promoter's telling me that they are ahead of any expectation or direct sales to the public.
Right.
There are more, but what we're saying is there are more people coming to watch Goodwin shows from the general public than ever before. We are selling more to the public. People are coming, and they're coming because I think we put on the good shows. Obviously, the whole staging looks good. Everything we do looks
good. The marketing of those shows.
Is good. We do. There's a lot of work done behind the scenes here, with people behind the scenes working really hard. So I think it's generic that what we're doing is encouraging the public to come and come back and come back and come back. And we're really happy with the way things are progressing. I mean.
All right. Second question, Riku. What impact does the increased number of pay-per-view events and televised boxing have on small hall promoters?
Nothing. Unless it clashes that you've got Anthony Joshua fighting in Wembley when you've got a show to run.
Yeah.
Apart from that, it doesn't add to, but it doesn't detract either.
You don't get any trickle down benefit necessarily.
No, you don't get any. What you get is you have to develop your own marketing, which we have done for many years. That's why all the promoters are benefiting from this. But there's no benefit, but there's no negative. What you just don't do is want to do a show on the same night as a massive show in the same area.
Where do you draw the line? Would you run one against Eubank de Gale?
Yeah,
that wouldn't put you off. But Joshua, 70,000 at Wembley.
Yeah. You'd rather not run against Eubank de Gale.
Yeah.
But if you had to, would you cancel a show for that? No.
Yeah.
But Joshua Povetkin had to be cancelled.
Yeah. Stuart Howe, Happy New Year, Stuart. Hope you're well.
Cheers, Stuart.
Who do you reckon wins, James de Gale or Chris Eubank?
I don't know.
Eubank points.
Do you think so?
I think
James de Gale's not. I remember this mistake when we looked at Hay Bellew. People were thinking of the David Hay of the past.
Yeah.
And it's really hard. I don't think James DeGale today is the same as James DeGale in the past, and I don't think Chris Eubank Jr. has learned any more from losing to George Groves. So I honestly don't have a clue.
Both flawed a little bit, but
don't have a clue.
Yeah, I know chatting with Linus when he was saying he was sparring DeGale, and before the Truax fight when he lost the title, and then after the Truax fight when he was kind of incentivised to go back and get it, which he did, he said it was like two different fighters. He said there is a new, seemed like a new breath of life into DeGale after that loss.
How many fighters at 32, 33 have got a new breath of life? But yes. How many fighters really, in hindsight, when you look back at the career, had a new breath of life at 32, 33? I think that's the stuff that's spoken in, because they're training the same gym, right? So that's going to be the area. He's better than he's ever been, better than he's ever been in his life. It's not really. And yeah, so he may be better than he was before the Truax fight, but at the moment, I think James still has it to prove. If you had to nail me down, I would probably say DeGale, only because he's got the better boxing skills, but not with any confidence at all, because I don't know what James DeGale's left.
He could make Eubank look really bad.
But he's a far better boxer.
Yeah, but Eubank, I mean, Truax just held, at every opportunity, held DeGale against the ropes and teed off on him. If you let Eubank do that to you,
damage,
he will...
Oh, it's an interesting...
I love it. I love it.
I like the fight.
I'm a Eubank fan.
I like the fight. I like the fight.
I don't know why.
I like the fight. It's great. It's a great fight. I'll watch it. Well, I won't watch it because I'm at bloody. I'm out there night at a Shalimar concert, but I'll.
Priorities.
Yeah, I love Shalimar, so that's where I'm. It's pre-booked and I'm going with friends, so yeah, I won't be watching it.
You'll find a catch-up of it.
Yeah.
Sam O'Reilly of Fight Talk. Can Steve explain the Iqbal situation? Why was he stripped, and what for our fan now?
Okay. The rules are, if you have a...
This is the English title, isn't it?
Yeah. If you have, let's use an English title. If you have an English title and you fight for a Commonwealth title against an Australian and you lose, you retain the English title.
Right.
No problem. If, however, you fight for a Commonwealth title against somebody who would have been eligible to fight you for the English title and you lose, you're stripped.
Okay.
Because Wadi would have been capable of fighting for the English.
Yeah.
So because he lost to somebody who could have fought him for
even though the belt wasn't on the line,
you get stripped.
Okay. That's an interesting one, isn't it?
So same thing. So the other one, there's a little, and that's the same on any fight. If you've got an English title and you fight another Englishman at the same weight and you lose in a 4-rounder, you're stripped.
Yeah.
So there are ways around it, but I'm not going to discuss that here. But there was no way around that one. But you know, from our fan's point of view, he's comfortable with that. He's fine. What next? He's having time off with his family. He's going away on holiday, and he'll look at things again in the summer.
Yeah. So he'll be back.
He's planning to come back, but I think it's good for him to have 6 months away and evaluate what he wants.
Fair enough. Daniel Smith, is there anything new for Goodwin shows this year? Steve sets a high standard, but the best normally look to continue to evolve. Apart from fights, is there anything production-wise or media-wise that Steve is looking at trying out to enhance his shows this year? Good question.
Really good question. Production-wise, what can you add? You can do live streaming. We've covered that before, and I'm still of the same ilk. There are things we're looking at, but in effect, when you've done the maximum that you can,
which is the big screens, the effects, the videos,
everything. When you've done that, what more can you do? It's like saying to Matchroom, what more can you do when you put on an O2 show? They can't do any more than they're doing.
So media-wise, does that mean?
Well, I think media-wise, we work really hard. I think we do more media than anybody else. So I think we get a lot of media stuff done for the fighters. We do a lot of.
It's not stuff people don't see. Like when you have them here for the day at the offices, and you do a whole day of them shadow boxing in front of a green screen, all the things that essentially feed into the social media videos and things that get put out.
We're doing this stuff all the time. We're the only people who've got our own photographer on site, and so we're doing so much. So the thing is, because the point, how much more can you do? What we look to evolve is new concepts, which we're working on this year. So it's concepts, it's developing fighters as a manager, getting them on shows. You've got to remember, that's my role, is to develop fighters' careers. Just putting extra belts and braces. I don't know what other belts and braces we've got, but if somebody would suggest something that they think we could do that we don't do, I'd happily I will listen.
I still want someone to come up with the alternative to the press conference.
Yeah, and that's the same thing.
Come up with
what I'm saying is we're listening. So if somebody can go up, we try and do head-to-heads. fighters, which I think is quite interesting. So I think we do as much, if not more, than everybody else. But we've abandoned press conferences because we just don't think they work.
Someone out there, I'm sure Steve will give you 2 free ringside tickets to a March show.
Yeah.
Come up with a good alternative to a press conference.
Yes, that's going to work.
Yeah,
because we're looking for it.
Yeah, message me with it.
Yeah, perfect. so I'll tell you what. The best thing I can do is spin around and say, "Tell us what you want. Tell us what you think.
Yeah,
do that we're not doing."
That's fair. LPC123 on Twitter. During the summer, will Steve Goodwin be looking to host any outside events?
I've been trying to do that for the last year.
Yeah. You looked at Kenilworth Road, didn't you? As one.
Kenilworth Road. We actually did. There's another one. So this series. It's really topical because at the weekend we were discussing. I went to try and do an open air. I'll tell you off at a particular place, and they pissed me off. So now I'm going to try and buy them.
Okay. I'm intrigued. No.
So I'm so pissed off with the fact that they would let us put an open air show on.
In my head, I'm taking a punt at what it is.
Okay. But I tried anyway. We went there and we said we want to do a show, open air, and they said no, we don't think it's appropriate. And I thought, you're skint. You got no money. You morons, you don't know how to run a business. If you're turning down this revenue, you must be running a flawed business model. Therefore, I want to buy it from you because
there must be progress.
You must be useless. So therefore, so at the moment, I'm actually trying to find out who owns it, what the road is. So we're actually just research to try. And if we buy them,
then you can do your own.
We do our own openers.
Okay, I'm intrigued by that.
But we are looking at another one. At the moment, one of our boxers wants to do it. We're looking at another open air for this summer, and we've actually inquired last week to a particular place to look to do an open air. So we are looking, but we've got to find the right one at the right cost in the right place. Yeah. But if we can get our own place, we can do it ourselves.
John Bailey, we've kind of touched on this, but there's a little bit of a different angle. Does the increase in televised boxing dates in the UK help or hinder Goodwin boxing separately from a management and promotional viewpoint?
Well, it helps as a manager because the more shows there are on, the more opportunities there are for your boxers. From a promotional point of view, it makes no difference.
Yeah, so you could end up with, I don't know, throwing it out, the PBC ones that are coming over could require undercard fighters.
Or main event fighters at some point if they do have shows.
But yeah,
I'm sure they at the moment they're finding their feet as to what they don't really know what they're doing until they get the momentum running.
Yeah, but then say again hypothetically, if Chris Bill and Smith, Deion Jumah, if that ended up on a Cyclone one, would that open the door that you'd open the conversation with Cyclone about providing potentially undercard fighters there? Or
possible? We've done that before. We worked with Barry McGuigan when they did the Wembley show. We work with we work with everybody. We just transparent and we'll do anything. It's all about what benefits the fighters.
All right, we'll try and rattle through a few here, coming towards the end. Richie Rich, boxing fan, whatever happened to Spiros Dimitriou?
Not my fighter.
Yeah.
I know what happened, but I never managed him. He fought on our shows a couple of times.
Yeah.
I didn't manage him. He wasn't my fighter. He had no promotional deal with me. So I can answer, but it wouldn't be appropriate for me to do it.
Fair enough. LM on Twitter. Thoughts on the PBC coming over to the UK?
Fantastic. Or everything that the more the merrier. The more TV exposure you got, the more thing the better. So.
And there's huge potential with ITV in there. If it's done right.
It's done right.
If they can build up a model whereby some British cards are free to air with familiar names like a Joe Joyce on it, and then that's built towards a bigger pay-per-view thing. If they can get those people onto Good Morning Britain, onto Loose Women, onto...
But they need to build a stable. This is what I think. If you do, you need to build, not necessarily a big stable, but you need to build a nucleus of fighters that you sign to develop through with you.
That's what they did in America, isn't it? They got 100 odd fighters on the PBC.
That's what they need to do over here as well.
Yeah. And that, to me, I was discussing this at the weekend actually, that it needs to be at the top end. You've got De Gale, I think you've got Eubank, I'm not 100% sure. Then there's still Selby knocking about, there's Joyce. Those names they fill the top slots quite nicely. They could do with a couple more.
But you know what you've got here with the problem? None of them sell a ticket.
Yeah. Eubank
will sell to the public, right? Joe Joyce, we know it doesn't sell.
Yeah.
Selby's don't sell a vote box. With all due respect, talented.
Well, he says it himself, didn't he? When he said about going to fight Frampton, he said, "I'll take all mine in a car."
Yeah. So the problem you've got is it's okay signing these people, but they are the people that the big promoters, to a certain extent, don't need because they're not selling. Joe Joyce could become a household name, so I totally get that. But what they need is some developing talent who are
Yeah.
But that's not my job to tell them what to do. They've got their own model.
Will Scott, how does Steve feel Eddie's foray into the US market via the Zone has gone so far? Is Eddie possibly finding it tougher than he thought, and will it last?
I think he's finding it tougher than he thought because he was saying about the names he was going to sign and he hasn't really signed them. So I think there's no doubt that he thought he was going to sign bigger names than he signed. I think that's fair.
Yeah, and I think he's probably found out loyalty can be bought to some extent. Like, as much as you can say, I'm going to get these lads out 4 or 5 times a year and I'm going to pay them X amount, I'd imagine Al Heyman can also pay them X amount and say to them, you only got to go out twice a year.
Yeah, so
which one appeals to me?
So you don't know. So I think he's found it harder. I think that the more, I think it's great that he's out there. I think they're now saying that they're in Spain as well. So that. But the only thing is, I mean, I hope they've got their infrastructure because they're going quite fast in different markets. But they're brilliant business people, so I'm sure they know what they're doing.
I think what is interesting is DAZN partnering up with Golden Boy as well as Matchroom. I think that's not a vote of no confidence,
but it's showing that they can't deliver.
They're hedging their bets.
Yeah, which you understand what they're doing there. So you can see that. And also the interesting thing was they've only got first option on some of these British fights. They haven't got them all, have they, units? So
that's interesting. Yeah, White has all ended up on Showtime, isn't it, rather than on DAZN, which. Yeah. Anything I say gets construed as being anti-Matchroom.
But I'm telling you, I mean, I'm saying I deal with Matchroom, and they're the best. They are great to deal with on the home side. They treat the fighters with respect. I've dealt with it on the home side, and they pay them fairly, pay them well, look after them. So they have a good promotional.
And also, to be fair, from what I understand, on the away side, once all those terms are agreed, they look after you fantastically.
They really do. Okay, they're going to hammer you down because
it's their job.
It's their job. So I get that. But once you do a deal with them, they look after people really, really well. They're a pleasure to deal with, and I can't speak of them highly enough.
Yeah, I remember an anecdote of somebody being looked after too well, where the coach or manager was then having to get people to try and disrupt the away fighters' routine and lifestyle whilst they were in the UK because of the fact that Matchroom were looking after them so well.
No, they're great. They're a great company. I mean, it's very interesting what they're doing, but it's a lot of markets to go into, and they now need their British fighters to go and fight away. Like Tom Little now, they're sending to Italy, aren't they? So they need these British fighters to go and lose away from home.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing you've got to remember is that if you sign with Matchroom, you've got to sign the deal that protects you from taking fights being
a feeder talent elsewhere.
Yeah, you don't want to be a feeder talent.
Will Scott again, relative to their actual talent or ability through effective management, which boxers do you think have truly maximised their earnings? E.g. Hatton, dare I say it, look at his CV, best win was 35-year-old Costas Yu. Bellew and White are the examples that he's given.
The problem with this is I don't know what they earn.
That's true.
I don't know their earnings. So the issue could be, I could say that I believe that, I don't know, I mean, let's take David Chisel as an example. I have my expectations of what I believe he should have earned for the Dillon White fight. I don't know what he earned.
Yeah.
So I can't comment as to whether he's been well paid or not well paid, or whether he's got a good deal or a bad deal. So it's very difficult to understand that. My gut feeling would be that Tony Bellew has done very well because he seems to be very happy financially, and he praises Eddie Hearn massively. So I think that Tony Bellew has done very well. I think Dillon White appears to have done very well. But what we don't know is how well, because we're not privy to those numbers. So it's really hard to compare and say which one's done better because we don't know the numbers.
Fair enough. Final question, Paul Oldtie. What one goal have you set out for 2019 that as long as you achieve, you would be overall happy with the year? It's a hard one.
I don't actually set goals.
No?
Because I don't think, this is my view, why should I set a goal on the 1st of January?
Oh, I agree.
I mean, I have a goal. My goals are change all the time because something happens and a boxer comes to me with a situation and my goal is to then get this for them. But it could be the 1st of January, the 13th of April, the 9th of June. So I don't have a goal for you.
I never understand.
Are you the same as me then?
No, not to get too philosophical with it and what have you, but time is a relatively arbitrary thing that if you had a great idea on the 3rd of June, you wouldn't go, well, I'm going to wait until the 1st of January and implement that.
No, so I don't.
You would crack on with it.
So in my whole life, I've never, ever set goals for a year. I set goals. My goals move gradually as to what we want to do, and the goals are still the same in boxing. It's to develop more talent, give more opportunities, make sure that people are well paid, do the right things and develop them. And if you do the right things, then your things lift up. What I'd like to do, but we were looking to this last year, we'd like to do an open air event somewhere. We want to encourage boxers. Like, for example, we want to encourage boxers to own their own shows in Sport Hall. We want to encourage a boxer to say, if you're going in your hometown, then rather than be exploited by a promoter, why don't you own your show? And why don't you make the money if there's money to be made in your hometown? We want to encourage boxers. That's one thing we want to do is, if a boxer, for example, can sell massive numbers in their hometown, why do you want a promoter to come and take all the money if it's going to be that lucrative? Why should the boxer not own that? Yeah. So that's something I want to develop. But that's been a goal that we're working on, and we're doing that. We're starting to.
I know there have been conversations with individuals about that,
and I think that's really unique. So that's a different thing, and I think that's really important. And we've got one of these open air things I'm talking about is to do with that as well.
Okay.
And I've got another one. I've got 3 I'm working on where we're trying to develop that concept, which no other manager, promoter has done. The only concept of boxers owning their shows happen on pay-per-view fights.
Yeah.
Why can you? But I think you should now develop that into other fighters if it can be done. So I think that's really, really good for them.
Cool. Right. Well, there we go. Back into 2019. First episode done. We'll be around next week, I'm sure.
We are.
And yeah, there'll be more fights to announce, more fighters, I'm sure. But yeah,
more things going on this week, that's for sure.
Hopefully, Steve will be feeling 100% by next week.
Exactly.
Excellent. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you then.